Yeah, everybody. Time for another knife review. I am feeling like crap today, so if my energy is low, I apologize. I'm going to be going to the store shortly and get a couple COVID tests because I just feel like dog crap. Anyway, what do all these knives have in common? By the way, hit like, hit subscribe, tell your friends. If you don't have friends, go get some friends, and then you tell them they should watch this. So what do these all have in common? Well, yes, they're all knives. That's the obvious one. They're lockbacks. I go through different phases. I like Swiss Army knives. I like my more tactical knives. I've been on a traditional kick lately, which got another one coming from Boker soon. Maybe by the end of the week or Monday. That'll be a nice one. But I like lockbacks. And I've been looking for kind of the right lockback because one of the things I'm struggling to find is apparently lockbacks aren't as common as they used to be. People have gone to liner locks and all these other things. And it seems like finding good quality lockback knives that are in the right size for my hands and for the weight and things that I want, they're getting kind of hard to find. I've got one from Steel Will that's made by MKM. Great knife, great steel, great design, really ergonomic, but it's kind of heavy. It's a little heavier than what I would want for an EDC. I can certainly carry it, and if I was going camping or something, maybe that would be the lockback I would take. And of course, you got your Spyderco. This is the Native 5, which is a really nice lightweight that does slip in the pocket, and that's really good. Actually, out of my lockbacks, I mean, that's probably my favorite as far as the modern ones. And of course, you got the Buck 110 and 112, but they're like tanks. They're big, they're beefy. Then you've got the smaller ones here. I've got one from Rough Rider Reserve. Did a video of that recently with D2 steel. Nice price point, around 60 bucks. Really nice, but it's just a little bit small. I wish it was just a little bit bigger. Same issue with the brother here. And then I've got a one made, this is a Boker Tree. I don't know that it's a Tree brand, which typically is made in Germany, but I don't know that this one is because they typically tend to say it right on the blade. They're very proud of that, which they should be. They make really good knives there in Germany. But again, it's just on the small side. Now, these are very nice. They're very clean. They're nice little elegant gentleman's knives. And so I've got a Boker that's actually a much bigger lockback in a traditional style that is on the way. I think if you guys are into that kind of stuff, you'll like that. But then I found this one, and this is one you might want to pick up, and you might want to do it sooner rather than later because it's actually discontinued. They don't make them anymore. I'll put a link to where I got mine, but there are a few of them still out there, but they're getting harder and harder to find. What this is, does it say somewhere on here? Yeah. The Rustic Gent. Comes in a couple different configurations. There's one with Damascus and different color handles, whether you want G10 or Micarta. I went with one of the Micarta ones. But it's a Civivi, which is part of We Knives. Very good quality, made in China. However, they're very good. We'll go through it in just a moment here. You got some little badges and stickers, don't care. We got something about the brand, nice, I guess, don't care. Then we've got a little microfiber. Okay, that's kind of cool. And it's actually a decent size to sit there and clean the knife, polish it. It's always good to have little microfibers around for stuff. And then you got the knife, you got some desiccant, and it comes with, because the knife itself does not have a pocket clip, it does have a nice little leather, the actual leather? Yeah, it's not pleather, it's actual leather with the Civivi Layman logo, and that you can clip to your belt and then have the knife, in a little holster, if you will. I'm not going to carry it that way. I tend to carry guns in holsters on my hip and then put the knife in the pocket. So what do we got? We have a nice little, ooh, that is nice. It's again on the smaller side, but it's actually a pretty nice blade. So what we have here is this blade is made of, is it D2? What was this one? Yeah, D2 steel, satin finished, nice hollow grind. It's got a fuller, I don't know if it's enough to open it with one-handed. Can I? Yeah, although it hits that half stop and then wants to stop. So I'm sure after it loosens up, maybe it'll, nice lockup it feels like. No wiggle side to side. It is on phosphor bronze washers, stainless steel liners, stainless steel back lock. Nice snappy action without being overkill. Beautiful micarta, as well as carbon fiber. And here's what I like about this, and this is another problem I have with any of the knives, including $150 Bokers or bucks or anything, is that, you know, it's hard to always get one that has the kind of lockup you want. You don't know what you're going to get. There's the aspect of the timing of the lock itself, which is your forward and back. This has no play. And I would expect that out of a knife made by these guys, because they make tremendously good knives that are CNC machined down to thousandths of an inch. So that lockup should be, you know, once they figure out the geometry and everything loaded into the machine, boom, it's going to be really good lockup. But on most lockback knives, the different, well, traditional style lockback knives, you're going to get, you know, this is pressed and peened and then polished. If the guy gives it a couple extra whacks and it's nice and tight, and like this one doesn't have any wiggle, it may be a little bit stiffer to open, but that'll smooth out over time. But you don't get a lot of blade wobble. Same thing with the Rough Rider. Really good tight lockup this way, a little bit of rocking forward and back. And then you've got the Brother knife, a little bit more front and back, and has a little bit of wobble. Now, it's a perfectly serviceable and usable knife, especially at the price point, but I don't have a way of tightening it. That one has more wobble than normally I want. You know, and so I don't carry that one as much because it doesn't impact how it works, but I just did. It's a personal thing. Here, I get most of the style of a more traditional knife. It's got that more traditional shape. It's got a very traditional clip point, got a nice hollow grind, very thin behind the edge. We'll do a paper test in a moment. Very nice lockback. The spring tension's stiff, so there's no way you're really going to press it accidentally, but it's not a pain on your thumb to use. It's a fairly stiff spring, nice snappy action. That'll probably loosen up over time as these two metals kind of polish and rub on each other, and a little drop of oil will help. I like the half stop. But I've got these modern materials here. Carbon fiber is modern, but what I was getting at, bear with me today. I'm not feeling well. My brain's a little foggy. They do have a lanyard hole. I like that it's hidden there, so they don't just drill a hole in the damn knife. It's nice that it's there for people that want it, and it's easily ignored by people that don't. But what I really like is, unlike these, you can't take them apart. I mean, unless you're a knife smith and you have all the right tools and all that stuff to do it. You can't take it apart. You can't really adjust the pivot. You can try to press it in more and then repeen it and then repolish it and then hope that your grit matches this. Otherwise, you got to do them both so they match. It's like, yeah, some guys can do that because they have the equipment. I don't. So for me, being able to adjust that pivot or take it apart and clean it while still having those traditional more lines and having it more of a traditional look rather than the high-tech, you know, different blade shape and the clip and the injection molded FRN and things like that. I had high hopes for this. That's a nice little knife. I can just get a hand on there. There is no finger choil, not much in the way of a sharpening choil, but that should be a nice little slicer. Let's see what we got. Yeah. I've never had a Civivi, even right out to the tip. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful edge. Civivi does a really good job. Not quite getting a push test. Well, it does on certain parts of the blade. So for whatever reason, the geometry there, maybe I just got to strop it a little further back. But it is actually doing push tests fairly easily. It just wasn't right there. I always tend to throw these on a strop just to clean them up that little extra bit. That's a cool little knife. It's small, but it's just big enough. It's got a really wicked stabby point. You know, you wouldn't want to do too much wrenching on it because it will pierce very easily, but it's not really thick up there. So you wouldn't want to necessarily snap it off, but we're looking at 3-inch blade with a 2 and 7, 2.9, something like that. I think in the, they say online 2.96-inch cutting edge. We're looking at just under 7 inches. You know, I wouldn't mind this if it was a little bit bigger, like an extra quarter or third of an inch on the blade and an extra half inch on the handle. I think that would fit my hand better. This is about the size of an Elementum, but it is comfortable to hold. This swoop here doesn't hook up so much that corner then kind of pushes into that knuckle. It does kind of follow the curve of your hand pretty well. So I can, even with my hands, get a fairly good full grip on that. There's no proud edges. There's nothing pushing into me. I like that a lot. That's a cool little lockback knife. I wouldn't mind if they had an XL. With instead of a 3-inch blade, they had a 3.3 or 3.4, up to a 3.5, I think would be the sweet spot. But unfortunately, this is discontinued. So if you want one of these, you need to get them before they're gone. I like it. I like that Civivi, at least for a time, did something more traditional. Yeah, it might have a little bit more of a modern flair with using carbon fiber and stuff, but it still follows those lines much more so than, the design language it has elements of both. Maybe you can see it as it bridges the gap between new and old, but it's certainly closer to knives like these. Similar materials, similar steel, similar profile, similar execution. What else is there to say? That's a really nice little knife. I'm going to carry that one today as I go to the store to get my damn Rona test. I still love my modern lockbacks, and there are times where I carry more of the one-handed opening, tactical type folders and things like that. But I've just been on this. I've been jonesing lately for more traditional style knives. But the slip joints I'm not carrying as much because I still, I can use them for opening packages, but I'm always afraid that I'm going to stab into it because I've done it before and had the blade start to close on me. So I do like traditional knives, but I like them to lock from a safety perspective. If for whatever reason I had to punch that into something or stab that into something, and I know they say, well, use the knife properly. You know what? Sometimes under duress, you're doing something in an emergency situation or a panic situation, or you're just being a little careless. You don't want to pay the price by severing tendons and really, nerves and really messing your hand up, right? So I don't look at it as the way the Brits and other countries and areas look, oh, it's a locking knife. Now it's no longer a tool, it's a weapon. No, it's still a tool. It's a tool that's less likely to hurt me, which I think is important as the owner of said tool. If you can make a hammer that would make it almost impossible to smash your own thumb with it, while you're hammering with it, you'd go, that's the hammer I want, because there's been times where I got startled, wasn't paying attention, my arm's getting tired, and bam, you crunch your thumb. So if they said, hey, here's a hammer that makes it almost impossible to do that, sign me up. That doesn't mean all of a sudden that's an assault hammer. It just means I'm less likely to hurt myself while using it. So I like that a lot. Civivi, this is about the size of an Elementum, but I like the classic line. I had one that was similar to this. It was called the Appalachian Drifter 2. I do think that one had a similar blade, but it was a front flipper and it used Nitro V, but it was a liner lock and it had a clip and all that. I just wanted something clean that sits in the pocket. It's small enough that you're not going to raise too many eyebrows if you open it up and you're cutting something. Whereas with some of the big Spydercos or some of the other tactical knives, people go, gee, that doesn't look like a little pocket knife anymore. That looks like a big hunting knife, or which, when you're in an office environment, what are you hunting? That's just the way people are, so you want to have something that's a little more discreet but gets the job done. But if you had to use it in a pinch to do something else with it, having that added safety of the backlocks tend to be very strong if they're done well. And that lockup, there is no creaking or wiggle. There's a little bit of blade flex, but there is nothing in that pivot. That is a really nice, well-executed knife. I don't know why I didn't get one of these sooner. I'm glad I got one before they're all gone. They're discontinued. They don't make them anymore. They haven't made them, I think, in about a year, and a lot of places are drying up. So I'll put a link in the description if you want one. I recommend them. For 65 bucks or whatever the hell I paid for it, I don't remember off the top of my head. It is a fantastic little knife. That action is nice. It's sharp. I mean, honestly, it's better than any of these, even the Boker that was a bit more. And that's because these are maybe more handmade-ish, and so they will look a little bit more authentic, traditional. But that action and that precision with the CNC machining, while still keeping sort of traditional, it's a nice sweet spot. You don't have to worry about, did I get a good one? Did I get a wobbly one? Did I get a good one with a good lockup or one that isn't timed properly and it's not? I've never had a Civivi that wasn't flawless out of the box. Civivi makes an incredibly good product at an incredibly good price. It's real value. So anyway, there you have it. The Civivi Rustic Gent, discontinued. Get one while you still can. We'll talk to everybody later.